where are you at right now?
So I love the fact that Tennant's coming back. He's my favorite Doctor, one of my favorite actors, probably top two, him and Ewan McGregor. So I'm like living on cloud nine right now with
Nice.
Kenobi coming out next week.
Yes.
So having, seeing that he's back and just seeing how awesome he looks, like it's cool. And I don't know what, if he's coming back for one special. There's rumors that it's multiple specials with
There
him.
are rumors.
Who knows what that's going to be, how much of it's going to be him, or maybe we just get a couple small scenes and we're that we're getting all hyped up for nothing. But I would love for it to be at least one full kind of episode where it's really focused around him and Donna. Donna, she wasn't my favorite companion, but I really liked her, and some of my favorite stories occur with her. The Silence in the Library stuff was awesome. Fires of Pompeii, which we kind of were just referring to back. I mean, that, kind of emotional scene where she's kind of telling the Doctor, you can save them. You can do it. You have the choice. Right. Yeah. And so Donna's had some great stuff, and she did end in an interesting way with, her having to lose her memory, and the Doctor had to basically make her forget everything, that all those awesome adventures and things that she did. So it would be kind of cool to have, a little bit more closure around that. Maybe that gets reversed somehow. So I'm excited for the potential. And if there were any of the Doctors that I would have wanted to see come back, it's him, because he's just my favorite of the Doctors. So as far as what he is he a regeneration, directly after Jodie Whittaker? I don't know. It feels like that's like the big fan theory right now.
Yeah.
That there's going to be, she regenerates into Tennant, and then maybe even beyond that, like maybe going through these older versions of herself before she gets to being, Ncuti. So I don't know. Is it Tennant, then Smith, and Capaldi? They each get their own special, and they just haven't announced the other ones yet. That would be kind of cool. I would love to see all three of those guys back and get to play the Doctor again. But it seems pretty far-fetched that that's where they're going with it. But the set leak stuff, I know we're talking spoilers, it does make it seem like he's not the old version of David Tennant. So it kind of lines up that he's a new version of himself. So I'm thinking it's either what people are theorizing, that she regenerates into him, or it is maybe an alternate universe type thing, because, Russell T Davies did say something about why can't Doctor Who be like Marvel and have its own kind of offshoots. So maybe he's kind of introducing the idea of alternate universes, so it kind of opens up his storytelling potential.
Right. I mean, again, it's not like introducing it, right? Like, it's already been introduced in a couple different ways. Over the years. It would be the first time that it goes full bore.
We've never seen an alternate universe version of the Doctor.
Right.
We've seen alternate universe versions of other people. And we've seen the Doctor split into, two versions of himself, where the one gets left behind in an alternate universe. But he's never met himself as the same version of himself. Right. Unless there's like a clone involved or something. There's been kind of double Doctor situations in the past, but we've never seen an alternate universe version meet himself. Correct me if I'm wrong, listeners, because I got corrected on some stuff last episode. But I'm pretty sure that hasn't happened, at least not in the modern series.
I mean, there is one thing noticeably missing from any of the set pieces, right? Or maybe two things noticeably missing from the set reveals. We don't have any appearance of Whittaker, and we don't have any appearance of Ncuti, right? So it's like
Whittaker, I would expect that. I think Whittaker's done. She's got her special coming up at the end of the year, October. Now we know,
right?
And then I think she's done. I don't think we see her again.
There has to be some interaction with, like, if this is not our Doctor, right? Like, if this is not our Doctor and this is a parallel universe Doctor, I would expect this Doctor to be interacting with our Doctor, whoever that might be. You would expect there to be some way that it coincides, right? And our Doctor, be it Whittaker or Ncuti, is noticeably missing from these scenes. And you already called out the Sonic, right? Like, that's a huge, I feel like that's a huge huge piece to the puzzle.
And I guess the other spoilery thing, the last thing I'll say about spoilers, well, no, it won't be the last thing because there's a couple of characters, but is the TARDIS, everybody's saying it's Jodie Whittaker's TARDIS and not Tennant's TARDIS.
Yeah.
And so that's the other thing that's kind of an indicator that it's possible that he's just regenerated, or alternate universe, he could just be using a different TARDIS. But yeah, it's the hints or the evidence about it being a throwback to a lost adventure. I feel like you can kind of erase that as a possibility at this point with what we've seen with the set leak stuff.
Yep. So what about that? You're checking off not a missing story, right? That's not a possibility in your mind.
Yeah, I don't think it's a flashback. I don't think it's a missing story.
Okay.
Now, what were the other options? Trick,
dream, trick, parallel universe.
Okay. I think any of those are possible. Trick, it could be a trick. I mean, we saw a whole episode where they introduced the new Doctor. Wasn't that the title of that special?
Yes.
Where it ended up being the guy that ended up being like the governor in Walking Dead.
He's just like super confused. He thinks he's the doctor.
He thought he was the doctor, and he's kind of so not that they were tricking us, but there was a kind of a moment at the beginning of that episode. If you weren't spoiled, you could be like, "Wait, is this the new guy?"
Yeah.
But so it could be something like that, where it's I don't know, it's a clone, or maybe it's that other guy that got left in the other dimension, and he like left that dimension and
he broke free,
came back or something. And
so from this list, the one thing that Davies doesn't mention, that it's a regeneration. So maybe it's not about what he says. Maybe it's about what he doesn't say. Yeah.
Now, the thing about the regeneration that I think would be weird is they've already called Ncuti the 14th Doctor officially.
Yeah.
They've referred to him as the 14th Doctor.
Right.
So if you throw in these kind of quasi regenerations, I don't know, me, I'm a stickler for the number stuff, and it kind of it messes with my head when they start to feel like, well, this one doesn't count. Like the War Doctor doesn't count, so that's why he doesn't have a number. Or, we have the Fugitive Doctor now, so that implies that who we call the first Doctor isn't the first Doctor.
Right.
There's who knows how many before him. So the whole numbering thing kind of, I don't like that. I do like the numbering. And I think it's part of these doctors' identities that they have these separate numbers that you can refer to them as. I don't like it when they start to throw in these, like, shove in these other ones. So if he's not the 14th, but he is the next regeneration after Jodie, I don't know. That's weird to me. I don't like that.
I mean, that they could very well do that. Just give him a title. Yeah, a new title and not a number.
The Vane Doctor.
Isn't Tennant already the 10th and 11th Doctor?
Well, that's the thing. They
the War Doctor. Okay, yeah.
But that was almost. I feel like that was a Moffat thing where he was trying to get to the right number to say that the Doctor had run out of regenerations.
Right.
And it was like, well, if we count that as a regeneration, I felt like that was almost invented as a regeneration, and not him just kind of temporarily saving himself with his regeneration energy.
Yeah.
Instead of it being a full-on regeneration. I think that was kind of retroactive retconning to make it fit what he wants to do, which is what Doctor Who writers do in general.
Right.
So if Davies wants to do that and he wants to throw in some kind of retcons to make this all make sense, sure, why not?
Okay, so we're saying we have our theories about the Doctor. Okay, and I guess that kind of plays into Donna as well, right? Because at the end of Donna's story, there's a pretty huge hurdle that would prevent her from coming back, right? Like she can't remember anything about the Doctor, she's going to die. So we have to resolve that one yet as well. But they did announce another character this past week, right?
Yes.
You had to think about it.
her grandfather, right? Is that her grandfather?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I'm like, which one? What are we talking about here?
Sorry, that was
There's a couple announcements.
Oh man, I thought I had the perfect setup there.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I
messed up your setup.
Yeah, Wilf. Yeah, we have Donna's grandfather coming back.
Yeah, Donna's grandfather and her mom.
And her mom. Yes,
Is
we
it
can't forget Sylvia.
not officially announced, but it has been seen on set,
Right, right.
in scenes, so not just like watching.
Yeah. So if we have the return of Wilford, Donna's grandfather, if we have the return, it's her mother, right? Sylvia is her mother, not her
Yeah,
grandmother.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. If we have the return of those two, are we willing to say then that this Donna who shows up, are we going to go out on the limb and say it's actually legitimately Donna?
I don't know. I hope so. I hope it's Donna. I hope it's 10. I don't, if they do kind of try to go the like, oh, it's an alternate universe, it's not the same characters, and they're not going to mean as much to me. So I want it to be them.
That makes
so
sense.
I hope it's her. I hope it's Donna. I hope it's her, her family. It does. They had such a good send off.
Yeah.
They were such a part of, 10, I think, had one of the best send offs as a doctor. And he got to kind of do his little goodbye tour and say bye to Rose, kind of going back to like their, before he ever even met her. So she didn't recognize him. That was such a cool scene. And he had that awesome goodbye with them too, their whole family, obviously not with Donna, but with the rest of the family. And they understood how important he was to them and to her life and all this stuff. So it is kind of like, oh, they already had their goodbyes, so now they're going to kind of come back. So it's going to take a little bit away from that, but it's fine. I'm okay with that, to get these characters back for another adventure. But yeah, I don't know, because I mean, once again, spoilers in the set leaks, and what we're talking about is literally like a 30-second kind of clip that we've seen filmed. We couldn't even hear what they're saying. You can just see who's there and how they're interacting.
Yeah.
So Donna absolutely sees the doctor and goes into the TARDIS with him. So we know that's going to happen. So it's just, who knows how they explain how that's possible. Maybe, I don't know. Yeah. Maybe she doesn't, maybe because enough time has passed that it's not going to trip her recollection to remember anything. So this is going to be all new to her.
I don't know. That's the big thing that right now that I'm trying to reconcile that in my mind, right? Similar to what you said, it was such a great send off and it seemed very final, right? Like for Donna, because it actually is her life that's at risk, and the doctor, because of how much he cares for her, right? He's not going to risk it. So he just leaves. And it was so emotional and it was so heavy and it seemed so perfect that how do you go back and you reconcile something that seems so final to have it come around again? Now that I'm upset, I'm excited. I'm just trying to figure out how, as a writer, do you go back?
These guys, these showrunners all just overwrite each other's stuff. And, I think at this point, Moffat, basically the whole premise of like the doctor being the one who destroyed the Daleks and the Time Lords and was kind of this man who had kind of like saved worlds and also destroyed worlds, and it was kind of this dual thing that he had, and Moffat's like, no, we're going to erase all that. We're going to go back and say that never happened. Here's how, and we're going to bring in a war doctor and all that stuff. So yeah, they can. Now in this case, it would be Russell T Davies kind of going back and erasing his own stuff or kind of rewriting some of his own stuff. So at least it's not like Chibnall doing it.
Right.
But you know how it is. Like if it was Chibnall writing this, it would be some kind of like explanation as to like the doctor will pull out this new Sonic, and the whole reason why he created the new Sonic was because he has some kind of psychometric jabber, blah, 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 that he can do that'll block whatever was going to kill her. And now she can remember him just fine and it's not going to hurt her. Like that would be the way Chibnall would write it.
That's how Chibnall would write it. Moffat would write it that Tennant would walk up to Donna's ear and he'd whisper, love. And Donna would just all of a sudden like, poof, everything would be okay. That's how the two showrunners would handle.
So we'll see Russell's version and see kind of how he explains it away that she's able to still hang out with the doctor. But we just went through this with Chibnall with the Carvanista, right? Because he wasn't supposed to be able to remember. Yeah, he wasn't supposed to talk about the doctor or something, or he would die instantly.
Right. Yep.
But he kind of did, and he didn't die. So
he did. I mean, we'll see if he dies. He hasn't shown back up. So
So I just, sometimes it's just hand waving. They're going to be like, it works. We're okay with it. We break our own rules all the time. We just wanted to get these actors back, and the fans are just going to be fine with it.
Yeah. And honestly, based on the current response, I think fans are more than okay with whatever happens at this point. There is universal excitement right now. But
yeah, he is a fan favorite.
Yep.
And I think Donna is as well. I don't know the general like opinion sometimes of the Doctor Who fandom. I stay in pretty small ecosystems when it comes to Doctor Who, more so than some of the other fandoms I'm involved in. It's almost like I don't know where the big conversations are happening about Doctor Who. It's kind of like we started this podcast, and so you and I talk about it.
Yeah.
And we talk about it with the people that are on our Facebook page and stuff, but I don't tend to go into the wider, I don't wade much past the shallow end, I think, sometimes with some of this Doctor Who stuff. So I'm sometimes surprised, like when I do kind of come across something, I'm like, oh, everybody hated that character. Oh, I like that character. Like I didn't realize I'm supposed to hate them. So I don't know. I think people like Donna, but I don't know. Maybe not.
I mean, it definitely seems like people are very excited about Donna coming back.